Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Awesome. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. But this is a special episode. Something I've been doing is late nights with Cody. It's still It Is What It Is, but it's just we come later. We come a bit more aggressive. We bring the truth on It Is What It Is. I'm your host, Cody Kelly. Look, connect with me on all social media platforms. You know what my two favorite platforms are? Instagram and YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram at CVMK33 or on YouTube at CV Space K. And we're all podcasts. I can't talk today. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, whatever your podcast preference is, we are there. I have an amazing episode. You know what March is? It's International Women's Month. So I like highlighting women influencers, rising stars, power brokers, people that you need to connect with and you need to follow personally. I have with me Carrie. Carrie, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Not too bad for a light-skinned, bald-headed preacher. I'm doing all right.
You're so funny.
Carrie, so people might not know. Introduce yourself to them. Read your resume. Let them know who and whose you are.
All right. I'm a child of God, number one. That's whose I am. But I am an entrepreneur right now. And mainly what I do is I'm building my own destiny right now. I'm building a destiny that can last past my years of being here. So with that legacy, I am helping other people grow and build their business as well. So that's one of my main goals. I love helping people and I love helping people get out their way. So with that said, I do live life coaching on Let's Talk with Carrie, Jemmi on Tuesdays to help talk about different topics that people don't usually talk about or think that is popular to talk about. In addition to that, I'm also a real estate agent here in Atlanta. So if anyone's looking to buy or relocate, let me know. And I also have a non-for-profit that I'm currently revamping called I'm Pretty Too. And I'm the founder of that organization. So got a lot of things working and cooking, but all of it points back to me being in a position to help others. So
go connect here. Hey, if my wife and I relocate to Atlanta, I'm calling because I want to get out of Chicago now. But let's start here. So being a woman, I don't know, right? And I will never speak on a subject I don't know. But in our conversation, we talked about some very interesting things. Something that you unveiled for me is having identity beyond a relationship or identity beyond love. Mm-hmm. I think traditionally we have pushed, and particularly in the faith, marriage, and I'm content with that. I'm not against it. But it's like identity is only complete when this happens. And maybe that's not a truth. It's a false truth, right? You can be complete and whole by yourself, right? So talk to me, like, as a woman, like, you have you been pressured into marriage or like asked like, aren't you married or and if you did, like how do you balance that identity? Now we're talking about, beyond just changing last names. That was like 20 years ago. Talk to us about that identity beyond love.
That's a great question. So I think it's important that you establish who you are before you get in marriage. Also, while you're in your marriage, that you don't forget what God has called you to do. I think a lot of times when you say identity past marriage, sometimes you get into your marriage and you forget your purpose, or you get in a relationship and you're so deep in it that you forget that what you were called to do for yourself. And now you got all this turmoil and you don't know why. And it's probably because you're not really following the will that God had for your life. I would say that it's steps to it. And like people, you ask me about being married or whatnot, and do I feel pressure? I feel pressure only due to my own desires, not really like from like my inner circle or my parents or anything like that, but because I know that's what I want for myself. But I do understand that as I look back, that God had a lot of work to do with me. And that's what I mean about certain women. So some people jump into marriage and then it ends up in being in divorce. And they're like, why? And sometimes it's because we didn't do the work before on ourselves. So you get into a marriage, which we heard before, we call it baggage or other things. And now you're destroying it. Like, I think the Bible quotes this, and I'm going to quote it. Look, Father passed, I'm going to quote it incorrectly. But they say a wise woman can tear down her own home with her own hands, right? So you can come in, and an unwise woman probably is the word. But if you're not knowing what you're talking about or how to be a wife or how to be a supporter and this whole word about being passive and all that, then you could tear up a marriage. So having identity about who you are and who you're supposed to be within a marriage is crucial before you even get into one. And it's crucial also because, unfortunately, I've known people who've been married 20 plus years and husband come home and say, you know what, I think I want a divorce. And now they were all in this marriage, all into their kids. And now they have no identity now after the marriage because their whole identity was the husband, was the kids. So when you're married, you have to find out what you love too, what pushes you, what motivates you. And if it's a hobby, that's fine, whether it's yoga or whatever it is, but you have to have an outlet for yourself. A, because you need to identify your own identity, but two, you don't want to experience burnout. I think a lot of women, especially married and kids, can experience burnout because they don't have something that they're gravitating to. Everything is always about the husband or the kids and not about themselves. So I'm actually grateful that I had an opportunity to go on this journey with myself, to learn who I am, to learn the mistakes that I was making in past relationships and repeating the same things, so that when I do get married, I should be A1, I should be ready. So
why do you think that there is this, it seemed like one-sided sacrifice? Like you don't hear like men when they get married, like well, that's not true. But for the most part, traditionally speaking, you don't hear like, I gave up everything. Mm-hmm. Like that speech in Fences, that's an over dramatization. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Denzel was like, I ain't gotta like you. I don't know, but for the most part, you don't hear men saying like, give up this to make it work. That's only in Tyler Perry movies. The reality is, it seems like the woman is always giving and bending so that he himself can go forward. Mm-hmm. What is wrong with it? First of all, it's not fair. So I don't even have to ask if it's fair. But why is that so accepted and so not discussed?
That's a good question. And I think part of it is we were taught to be nurturers, right? So not only are you a nurturer to your kids, but you're a nurturer to your husband and your significant other. So you're taught to submit, and make sure that they're happy. So I think we kind of embedded to put our happiness aside. Like we're not supposed to be happy, but they're supposed to be happy. And now, some people bring up that, they start to change it a little bit, saying a happy wife, happy life, because It is important that she's happy. Again, I think women stood up and said, look, I ain't about to be the only one cooking and cleaning and you just come in and just throw stuff around and I don't, So I think people started to speak up, but I think it can come back from way back when. Like, I think we were just breed it to put the man, on this pedestal, whatever you need, and like.
Oh, hell, Coming to America. Yeah, I don't know why that just want to say like Coming to America.
Coming to America. Yeah. But yeah, it's my favorite movie. But yes, but we were kind of that mindset. Right. It was there at some time. And I think as we started to get our own voices, then we got this stigma like, oh, she's an independent Black woman or she don't need. That's not true. I think you can be strong, but yet be able to be, like I said before on one of your shows, but be weak enough to be a good, in your role, play your role. You know what I mean? You don't have to be so independent that you make your man shrink or his pride, but you have to be able to find a balance between the two. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Or is that something that should be discussed early on? I wouldn't know how to date now. I always say if something happened to April, I would be screwed. I would have to just literally order my wife on Amazon because I just don't know how to date anymore. Because I'm at a point now. I'd be like, so it'd be like a checklist. Like, so FICO score is what again? This ain't gonna work. So when should I guess the exchange between my vision and the other person's vision be discussed? Like, because I feel like it's not being discussed, and it's definitely not being preached about being discussed.
I would say within the first couple of dates that you have with someone, you need to make sure that you align and that your goals are the same. When I was doing this online dating like everyone else, and that would be my first question. It's like, where do you see yourself in the future? And all these other things, because I need to know. I need to know where you're going, because why waste my time? I think a lot of people, you have to want to date intentionally, have intention behind why you're dating. Some people date, they don't care about what the person got going on and they just get caught up, but if you really want to be, if you're really smart about it, you want to have those crucial conversations that like I just said on my last show. You want to have those crucial conversations because you can waste your time. If someone is not thinking like you, or they have, like you said, they're not an April to the Cody, then now you're going to be in a situation where you're incompatible and you're not going to be happy. So I think the earlier you can get all that stuff out. I mean, like I watch the show Married at First Sight, and I love it a little bit because they rush everything in the first 8 weeks, but it's kind of like you get the hard stuff out the way. Like, do you want to have kids? How frequent is it? There's like those are things that you need to ask that people wait years to ask. So,
hey, the new season with Chris, he OC. I'm like, man. If you wasn't a little girl, you should have.
I'm like, they playing a trick on her. She need a whole do over.
She do. They need to get rid of him, just annul it, and get a whole new person to be like, Chris, this dude was OC, man.
He was
between him and Iris and Keith. Was
you wrong with Keith and Irish?
Yeah, that was.
I was wrong with that one.
That was insane. I couldn't do it. God bless him. So what is the hold up? So we talk about women. Sometimes what is associated with women? Is like beauty. Like there's not a word associated with the male persona, right?
Right.
What does it mean? Is beauty a real thing? Is it? There's a lot of. There's always been a push to have a certain look. That is not new. Mm-hmm. But it seems like it has intensified. Matter of fact, you see, it feels like it's on steroids. Like it's on a whole new level of not just advertisement, but desire, right? I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it on social media. You see it with the filters. I always say, like, now I go to the gym, I can't get to any machine. So why?
Wow.
Why? I guess start there. Is beauty real? What does it mean to be? How does women feel about their own personal beauty? And then how does that relate into the avenues of social media?
I definitely feel like beauty is real. I don't care when nobody say like, oh, he don't have to be handsome or she doesn't have to be cute. Get to know them, fall in love with their heart. I mean, it sounds good, but at the end of the day, you want to be attracted to someone or whatever. But it does play a heavy part in our society. And that's why I even started the organization I'm Pretty Too. It's because people made other people feel that they wasn't pretty because they didn't have a certain look. You're not tall, so you're not pretty, or you're not short. So, it's like different things. And I mean, these girls out here are super confused, especially with social media. Like, can I be myself? Do I need to look like this person? Oh, I need to put this filter on because now I look like this person, and it's like finding out what's pretty to you and beautiful to you has to happen. And I think I was talking to someone about how critical it is that we do that to our kids. I think kids, we always telling our kids, oh, you're so cute, or you're so handsome. And when they go out into the world and somebody calls them ugly for the first time, now it's like, oh, that's what my mom used to tell me now. So now it goes out the window because, of course, everything your parents tell you go out the window at one point. And you're like, okay, that's my parents. So if we don't, as kids, our kids, we should start trying to have them identify beauty early on for themselves. If that's going into the mirror, whether it's a young boy or girl, and letting them identify what beauty is for themselves, because the society is going to pull you in thousands of directions. Yeah. And so if you don't define it for yourself and have a child define it for themselves, they're going to be confused like kids are now. They don't know what beauty really is. If it's Kim Kardashian, is it Beyonce? Is it Rihanna? Is it her? Is it this? It's like you keep pulling different directions. And so that's why I love I'm Pretty Too, because it's like, I'm pretty too. I'm perfect the way I am, the way I was created. And so you don't have to have so much pressure. You could just, wear your hair like you want to wear your hair. Do it, wear clothes you want to wear. And I think this next generation is being more forward with that. Whether they're wearing blue hair, yellow hair, they don't care. They're just, doing whatever floats their boats. And I like that because it is about individuality. Because what might be attractive to one person is not attractive to the other. And then what if we all looked alike, then where's the variation? If we was all the same complexion, if we was all the same height, we was all the same sizes. Like God didn't intend for us to all look alike. If he wanted that, we'd be looking like aliens. Aliens all pretty much look alike.
Right.
Big eyes, big heads. That's it. Right.
That might be stereotyping aliens. I don't really know. No, I think you're absolutely on it. Growing up, it's crazy. Growing up, I got teased like heavily being light skinned. Yes. But you got to understand, this is during the Omarion era. So like, I couldn't, I didn't have braids and my hair wouldn't like curl. I couldn't get waves. I don't care how many times I brush it. I could put a wave cap on. I could put the S-curl kit. I could never get waves. My hair was just like straight when I had it. And I think I did so much stuff. My hair was like, look, I'm just leaving. I'm never coming back. So, it was crazy. And it developed a lot of like insecurities. And then you get older, President Obama arrives on the scene and and it was like a totally new world, and now it's like, and then when you get into your 30s, so my wife hates when I go to the gym. So like, it's wild that this concept really has no definition, and it's a fluctuating variable, and that's why it should be instilled in everyone, because it's just a matter of time. You're hitting
it right on the head, because we set the standard every year. I remember when big butts was not popular. Like girls would hide it; they didn't like having it, and now it's like you gotta have it. Oh, let me go get injections. Let me go get my, like Atlanta is. I'm telling you,
I know. I mean, not like I know. Not like I know. April, no, I don't play that. But I'm just saying, like, I remember.
So people are going to the extremes to make sure that they have now what is acceptable and considered beautiful.
Right.
And because before in other cultures, beauty was not having none of that. They considered that to be fat and this and that, but now they're even trying to jump on board, getting all these body modifications. And so if you, like you're saying, if we keep waiting for someone else to define it for us, we will never have a true definition of it, because everybody else will give you the definition.
That's true.
How do you identify with that? So I was teased too, though. I didn't want to go too far into that, but I was teased for being dark skinned like every day till I got to college. And even in college, I had some people say some stuff that was out of pocket. And so it took me a long time to accept my complexion. I mean, when I say long time, I mean like early 30s.
I took me a long time to accept my complexion. I just now gotten comfortable being me. I don't care anymore.
Really? Wow.
At a certain age, you'd be like, I don't care what you say.
Right.
And I always say, if and a lot of that is because I have an amazing partner, but if I didn't, would I still have the same feeling? And I think I think to myself, I would be almost like now it's just, it doesn't mean anything to me, because I see how just vain it is, right? Mm-hmm. And then the things that we used to, or that was important back in the day. I mean, the type of woman, it was just really toxic and really vain and grotesque. And now it's like, I value, peace, and I'm not saying like I've ascended to this lofty state. That's not true. I'm still a human being. I'm still a man. You can ask my wife. She goes through my phone all the time. But at the same token, there's nothing. I'm completely honest. I have nothing. A, I have nothing to hide, and then B, I'll just be admitting. I tell her myself. I'll be like, I did double tap the photo. I did like it. I'm still like, ahead of time. So if somebody screenshot it to you, you automatically know. So she ain't gotta ask. So
that's good. That's good transparency. Yeah,
we're on the same page.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're talking about that shift. Moving more into the economics of it. Empowering. Should I stay or should I go? I had a podcast. I had an amazing group of guests. One was a lawyer. Another one was an entrepreneur. Another one was an author. Another one was started her own telecommunications company. I mean, just amazing, amazing women. And they bring up something that basically the only way that you can achieve true advancement in the realm of economics is through entrepreneurship, right? And I agree. I agree that corporate America has not evolved to the point that it is really focused on empowering the base, increasing diversity, not as a buzzword, but as a reality. But I don't know if I'm completely sold. I had a conversation today with one of my friends. He said, sometimes you don't need to start a new company. You need a raise, right? So, and I kind of pondered on that. It's been kind of just echoing throughout my mind. Mm-hmm. Carrie, why did you go the entrepreneur route?
Well, I always felt like I was a square peg going into a circle hole. I mean, really, I knew early on in my spirit and as a child that I had a different calling. So I didn't know when it was going to happen, but each job that I had, and my right hand, I've always had somebody in that job tell me, this is not for you. This is not where you're going to be. And if they didn't tell me that job, a prophet will come along my way and tell me, get prepared. God has a different destiny for you. So I've always knew okay, well, I don't know. And entrepreneur just was so safe, not safe, but easy for me because I'm already a leader and I'm already a visionary at heart. And my parents were entrepreneurs. So my mother was an entrepreneur since I was born. And my father, he worked for corporate America for 22 years. And then he became an entrepreneur. And so they owned property. They had a store where they ran business. I mean, I've seen it all my life. And then we had other businesses, grocery stores in Bronzeville and different things. So I was exposed to it so early on in life that I knew that it was always something that I gravitated to. I would say this, though. It is not for the faint at heart. Entrepreneurship is super hard. Some days I always dream about going back to corporate America, okay? Because you get comfortable with that 2-week check. You get comfortable with how I was making 6 figures. So I was comfortable and I had a lifestyle that I loved, So to jump from that into a risky situation was not easy, but I had faith. And my journey with entrepreneur is definitely faith driven. I trust God and I trust God with my life. And I will say though, like you said, the guy said, you just said, get a raise. Now, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And if it was going again to this beauty standard, if everybody was entrepreneurs, then who would help the entrepreneurs grow their business? Hello. At a point, Coca-Cola or Amazon was an entrepreneur idea, but he had to hire people to be pillars for his company. So everyone cannot be an entrepreneur. You have to find what you love. And sometimes corporate America is the way to go. If it's the way to go, you get raises, you get bonuses, you love what you do. You could be an excellent project manager, excellent whatever. And now you're moving up the corporate ladder. So I don't always advise it for people. And I think due to COVID, a lot of people felt the pressure to pivot to entrepreneurship. And I was just like, it is not easy. This is not, you just can't think of a service or a product and think that everybody's going to want it. It's science behind this. I'm actually working on a course with my partner now called Business from Scratch, where we're going to show people how to build businesses. And when they see how in depth it goes, they might be like, you know what? This ain't for me. It's not for everybody, So, I say I went into it because I knew it was for me. And like I said, I trusted God with that. So I think you have to, tap into that spiritual self of yours and be like, okay, spiritual self, God, is this really what you want from me? And like I did, I fasted about it. I made sure that God gave me the answer for it, because otherwise, you just out here willy-nilly it. You're going to willy-nilly your whole savings out, and you're going to be one of the people under the bridge. Like, you got $1 or $0.25 for me, So that's what I'd say.
What would you advise? And I totally agree with you. I think, the shift to entrepreneurship, particularly with, COVID, it was like, and a lot of it was because you're almost forced into that situation.
Yeah. True.
But what should be, I guess, the not, I won't say talk track because that's salesy, but I will say, what should be the dialogue with women, high school, about to go into college? Like, at what point, and this is something that I've been thinking about, I said, I think we're starting off too late. Like, why did I have to get into my 30s to understand what the move was, right? Like, when I was, I think I'm still physically in my prime, but I'm not 21. Right. I'm not 18, so why wait? Why so long? You're talking to a group of young women, right? They're about to transition to that college, or they're thinking about college. What should be the conversation? Because maybe we're going about it all wrong.
That's actually an excellent question. Because it took me, like you said, a long time. I think it's only been like about 5 years that I've been straight entrepreneurship. I think that it does start younger, and it almost starts with the parent, and the parent identifying that their child has a skill that can be monetized. Like, you have kids that started off with the lemonade stands and different things of that. If you're paying attention to your kids, you will see those soft skills that you can kind of like nurture or build, and then now you save your money from them going to college and wasting their time. For me, and I think we all have this. Depending on how you was raised, your parents kind of build the path for you. Okay, you're going to college, you're going to high school, you're going to college, whatever. Get a GPA, and so that's what you're told. So you're kind of like programmed to that same road, and they don't tell you like, oh, well, guess what? You're good at doing hair. Why don't you open up your hair salon? You're good at doing this. They don't give you those options. They just force you to think that education is the way to go. And I've always said to myself, like, when I have a child, that I want to make sure that they do what they want to do. Like, if my child says, you know what, Mom, I love to draw. Okay, go to art school. I'll invest in your art, your art career. Like, if you want to open up your own studio, let's go get you a brick and mortar or whatever. Do you want to teach it? I think it's important that you look at what your parents start first and say, where is my child going? Because you can save yourself a whole lot of money. It's so many kids going to college, getting degrees and things that they don't even want to, it's not even what they want to do or they're passionate about. You know what I mean? So identifying that passion early on and nurturing that seed versus forcing what we think we should be doing. Now, I will say this. If your kids have no gifts, which
be honest, right? If they can sing, don't put them in a choir. No.
Exactly. If that's the case, and not to say gifts, because God gave us all gifts. You know what I'm trying to say. But if they are not don't have a niche or a trade that they can get into, then college is maybe the way. Build their education and build a skill, because that's what college is intended for to me, is to build a skill. Other than that, it's also for people who know they want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. You have to go the education route. That's just what it is. But if your child, like I said, don't have something that they can just like monetize off of, then yes, they need to go to college so they can learn something, business management, whatever. So even if they go to business and, they learn business management, maybe that will help them later, like me. Some of the stuff that I did learn in undergrad and grad school helped me in my entrepreneur career. Because I'm talking about me. Me is the kid that didn't have any trades. My sister knew how to do hair. I didn't know how to do no hair. I was just Carrie, So me going to college did help me kind of hone in on my skills. So it just knowing the parents have to be able to identify that to me. Make sense?
No, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Let's play a game called word association before I ask my last question. So I'm going to throw out a name. I'm going to throw out something. First word that pops to your head. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ready?
Edit this out. Not just wait.
Keeping this part in. No, let's try it. Madam Vice President Kamala Harris.
Powerful.
Exquisitely powerful. I like Madam Vice President Harris. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce.
Entertainment. You said one word, right?
Or whatever phrase.
Oh,
right. Whatever, one word, but that's fine.
Yeah, she's amazing. I can't even lie. Knowing that she's my age and the things she's done, I'm like, hey, go ahead, sis. Yeah.
Meg the Stallion.
Social. I don't know. Oh God. Talented. She is talented. I will say that. But entertainment, definitely entertainment for men. Yeah.
For me. For me. That's fair. I'll take that. Cardi B.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Because before I saw one of her shows on Netflix, I would have said a different answer. But after watching it, I saw a different side of her, and I saw the entrepreneur and the talent in her. So I don't have really nothing. I could just say, yeah, talented to me. Yeah, I think she found her voice, knew what she wanted to do, and did it. She went from being in a situation that nobody really want a woman to be in, dancing in that way. People do it, but it's a hard industry, okay? Mm-hmm. And so she found something she was talented about, and she nurtured it, and now she's killing it. So I just say, talented, smart.
Oprah.
Oh, well, that's my I look up to that's my role model. So role model for sure. She paved the way. She didn't take no for an answer. She made her own. That's what I feel like, with somebody like my show. I was sitting here waiting like, who's gonna give me a show? No, I created my own platform. So, she said, yo, you want to have me do this? I'm gonna create my own studio. And now look at her today. I mean, so powerful, unstoppable, definitely, up here. I mean, people have their judgments about her and things they want to say negative about her, but regardless, she has paved the way for a lot of Black women. She's a billionaire. Come on.
Iconic. Since you live in Atlanta, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Oh, wow. She's history making. Yes. I love her, and I love her direction and the direction she's been taking in Atlanta. Yeah, definitely history making. I'm very proud we did that.
Last one. Karen Clark Sheard.
Karen Clark Sheard. She's iconic, like you said a few minutes ago, that word. Like she opened the door for a lot of gospel singers and people to, find that rhythm and that voice where they don't have to sound like everybody else. So yeah, I'll say paving the way, like most women have been doing for us African American women.
It's true. Let's move to our last segment. Let's talk about faith. So you are a woman of faith. You have stated that, and you said your faith is everything. You're praying fast. You've allowed faith to be the cornerstone of your humanity. It is the bedrock, right? The Christian faith, let's just be honest, right? The Christian faith is predominantly women. It's probably about 70% women, 30% men. Maybe you could probably even it out to 60-40. And particularly in some denominations, it's definitely as high as 70-30. yet you don't see the leadership of particular faith that high. How can you have a constituency of a certain demographic and very little representation in leadership? Is there an abuse of power? Or what should the role of faith and how should it influence women going forward?
Wow, that's a meaty question. Okay. Well, especially growing up in a church and seeing exactly that. I mean, every time we had a visiting pastor or minister, it was a male. And when we had women, it was only on Women's Day. Okay. That was it. And it was so uncomfortable for men to have women in the pulpit. Right. And I was like, do you think God only called men to lead in that arena? Right. You know, like, oh, we're okay to lead over here, but we're not okay to lead here. You know, I don't know. I think that it's just rooted in thinking that in that area that only men are leaders of in that way. I don't know why, because the women that I've been touched by the most were because they were in the pulpit. They were leaders in that way, and it made me say, okay, I can be that. Or knowing they were evangelists or a prophet or whatever the case may be, you know, it was inspiring to me. I look forward to Women's Day. You know, I'm like, oh, getting a woman's sticker, you know, because that's what you can identify with. I mean, listen to a man every Sunday all the time is great, but women like to also find their identity. You know what I mean? So I don't know why. That's a good question. I don't know why that balance is off like that, because you're right. Yeah, I don't know. Cody, help me. You help me dig it.
I have to think about where I belong, and no, I think that
because I know you grew up in the church too.
Let me phrase this correctly. I got to make sure I phrase this correctly. I think that men are intimidated, and I think that because there's really no justification, and I understand. I have the same faith. I read the word. I believe in the word of God, but there's really no dominance, especially when you get into the New Testament. And the Bible says, in the eyes of Jesus, there's neither male nor female. Right? There's no. Jesus is the ultimate identity of equality. You know, he erases even, geographical, ethnic, anything that would separate humanity. He literally tore down the veil. I think we're intimidated because it particularly, and I guess this is more pertaining to the quote unquote black church, because it's really the only area that the black man is allowed to be successful.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So because the church really is the only avenue without having a diversity and inclusion committee and having to go through EEOC reporting, that demographic can actually be humanized. Therefore, to validate his own humanity, it has to dehumanize another. I think it's a sad, and I think it's a toxic, and I really think it's the effects of slavery, and I keep saying, like, the effects of slavery is so present that when we see it, we don't even recognize it. We just think like, oh, but it's still here. So that's what my personal feeling is. My mother is my shero. She has 2 or 3 degrees, super smart. Super. Her role model is Angela Davis. I've heard Angela Davis speak twice, once at my cousin's graduation, the second time at my school at Loyola. So, I mean, strong women don't intimidate me because, first of all, I appreciate their humanity and I see them as a strong human that happens to be a woman. I don't put like a separate category and this is for women, so, so for me, I don't care. I'm not like bothered, but I think for a lot of people, because it is really the only avenue where the humanity can even really thrive. Therefore, that's what you'll keep replicating. I would love to get shout out to those who are in the faith who totally oppose that view. I would love to get you on the podcast. I believe in diversity and inclusion here. everybody can be on here. If you want to challenge that view, hit me up. I just think that we have to, we have to look into it. And then here's something else. I think we have to look into the dynamic of why, and that's for another episode. Even how relationships appear. You know, one of the things, my grandfather, he was honest with me. Like, I think, you know, people know Bishop Marshall, but I knew Cody Marshall, right? And he was honest. He would share things that a lot of people don't know, and he would talk to me and to avoid a lot of mistakes. And I think some of the reasons why, if I have progressed at all, is because of his tutelage and because of the things he shared with me, and even how to go about being a husband, right? So, like, my wife is not my servant. She's not my, you know, maid. I don't own her. I don't even know what she's doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, no, I'll play about. I think she's on the phone with one of her friends. But, you know, like, I you know, like, it's not an issue once you can discuss it. And I think that's the problem. We don't want to discuss it, because if we be honest with it, a lot of these women can outpreach these men. A lot of these women are smarter than these men. A lot of these women have more integrity than these men. And if we really put down a list, a lot of these women should be leading these men. But the problem is, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I
don't even know. I feel like I got in trouble with that one.
No, I don't think you might have ruffled some feathers, but you hit it on the head. I think the biggest thing you said was that, and I didn't think of it that way. That's the only safe place for a Black man not to be really challenged, and he's praised. Because think about it, most pastors are like untouchable, from the arm bearers to the deacons, to whatever. So they feel right. They feel secured and they're admired. I mean, it's heavy. So I don't know if anybody would want to give away that type of power. Seriously, like you said, I mean, I think that you just hit, because I was talking to a girlfriend not too long ago. I thought I had watched the movie American Skin.
Yes. Yeah, with Nate Turner. Yes. Yes. The movie made me mad.
Whoa. Mad. And I was fearful to have a son after watching it. I was like, oh my goodness, where can a Black man be safe? If you're not safe in your community, because now people want to kill you, or you want to got to be in a gang or whatever. You're not safe if I take you out that community and I put you around people who don't look like you, because now they're like, why are you in my neighborhood? Let me hunt you down. You know what I mean? And then you're not safe because of the police. You can't even drive your car. You can't even have a nice car. You can't even do certain things because the police are now looking at you a certain way. It's like, where can you be safe? And you're not safe in corporate America. So it's like, where can a Black man really be safe? And you just said it, in the church.
In the church.
So,
and that's why we have It Is What It Is, because we get real on this show. Carrie, you have been amazing. Where can the people connect with you? How can they support you? How can they follow you, support your businesses? I know you're in the ATL. Where can they follow you?
Well, you can always follow me at Carrie Jemmi on every platform. I believe on Instagram, it's just Carrie_Jemmi. But that's my name on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. You can go catch some of my episodes on Let's Talk with Carrie Jemmi. Again, I air every Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So for those Central people, that's 6:30 your time. And I you can just watch me on there. That's where I'm at. www.carriejemmi.com. Yes.
Yep. Y'all go support Carrie Jemmi. Follow her on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Watch her stuff via YouTube, because Facebook not paying right now. Watch her stuff. Subscribe to her page.
Yes.
Visit her website. And if you're looking for a home, select her as a realtor.
Yes.
Support, get supported. You know how you want to keep supporting this podcast? You know what you got to do? Subscribe to the YouTube page below. YouTube is CV Space K, and where all Anchor podcasts are heard. And as always, you can support in a plethora of ways. Just throwing that out there for anybody who wants it. Carrie, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate my fans and watchers and listeners for watching this. Until next time, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You like what you saw? Were you entertained? Were you informed? We want to keep seeing amazing content. Subscribe at the link below. YouTube, CV Space K. You connect where all podcasts are streaming. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Connect with me. I want to connect with you. Let's enjoy the ride.